What's going on, guys? Back with another weekly video. So I had a pretty busy weekend. It was gorgeous outside, so I spent the entire weekend outside with the kids. Just all the kids in the neighborhood came over. We were in the batting cage all weekend. Just threw balls to every kid probably in the neighborhood, but had a lot of fun. Just didn't really get inside to do any any to make the video until it's now Sunday night. So this will probably be out Monday or Tuesday, just for your information. But there was so much that went on last week. I still wanted to make a video just to kind of cover everything. The Sony event, there was Nintendo Mini Direct, and then we'll get into some just pickups later on. But let's first start with the Sony event. That was the big showcase for this week, where we finally got the pre-order or the pricing, when the release date was, when the pre-orders would start, and all that stuff. And overall, to be honest, like watching that event live, it was very average. Okay, it was average because I feel that whoever put together that event did a really bad job of how they presented it. Because in the end, after you found everything out, because if you watched it, what had happened was they pretty much came on and just showed a whole bunch of stuff. They showed a bunch of games. They showed quite a bit of gameplay of this new Spider-Man game, the Miles Morales one. They showed a bunch of games, but they didn't give release dates for really anything. They would just say later this year or 2021 type of a thing. And then at the very end of and it was a lot of stuff was more or less stuff we had already seen. I don't know if there was anything surprise. They teased a God of War that's going to come out in 2021, but I think we've known, at least I've known for Santa Monica Studios has been talking for at least a year plus that they're making a new God of War, so that's not really a secret. I think everyone kind of knew that was coming. But everything else, I think, was, for the most part, I'm trying to think that it was all stuff that we already knew about. But they didn't really give us any dates. The Spider-Man looked really good. They showed us the Demon Souls. They showed us like quite a few things, but they just didn't really give us the dates. And you're kind of watching this, being like, okay, so what? So what? And at the very end of the presentation, then they finally come and they drop the prices, and they had $500 for the disc base, and then they had $400 for the digital, all digital, which I think is what a lot of people were kind of expecting. And I'm pretty happy with that pricing. I think the $500 and $400 is really good. It would have been nice if they would have undershot Xbox, but I mean, for what Xbox has, I don't think that they have to. I'm just happy that they didn't come out more expensive. So at those prices, $400 and $500, I think that's right where they need to be, and I'm pretty happy with that. But that was it. Then the presentation was over. They didn't get into pre-ordering or nothing like that. I want to say about I think that night, because I watched that presentation, and I remember I was messaging friends and stuff, and just being like, "So how do you think it was?" It was like, "Okay, it was okay. We just, still a lot of stuff we don't know, And I think I went outside, played baseball with the kids, left my phone upstairs, just kind of tuned out for the rest of the night. And then come to find out about like 9 o'clock that night, I come to go to bed, and I check my phone and see that like they had basically announced a whole bunch of stuff on the PlayStation blog about an hour later after the event, where they announced what was coming out, what date, and when pre-orders were supposed to come live that next day. And apparently some retailers jumped the gun and didn't wait till the next day, and then they released their pre-orders. And then some other retailers didn't want to lose out on money, so then they released their pre-orders. So it was a complete and total mess. Sony, needless to say, I did not get one. So this is not like I'm not gonna sit here and whine about it. It's like if I end up getting one, I mean, I'll get one eventually. If I don't get one on launch day, I don't. Whatever. But it was very just poorly executed, and also just I think when you come to read their blog post an hour later, there was a lot in there to unpack that was like they could have presented this to been like, damn, you would have been like watching that event and just been really impressed. But let's kind of get into what is actually coming out. Like, we'll just focus on what's coming out on launch day, what's going to be available at launch. I'm not going to get into everything else. So the Marvel Spider-Man's Miles Morales game will be available on November 12th, and that's also November 12th is the launch day for the PlayStation 5. But the Miles Morales Spider-Man game is going to be available at launch, which they showed that game pretty, they showed a pretty cool, like, just gameplay of that. And that game looked amazing. And it would have been cool if they would have showed that and be like, available at launch, available at launch. And they didn't do this. And it was just poorly presented. But they're going to have two versions of that. They're going to have a $70 Ultimate Edition and then a $50 Standard Edition. Demon Souls will be available at launch. That's another game that they showed some gameplay of, and it looked really good. So Demon Souls is also going to be available at launch, November 12th. Godfall, I don't think they showed any Godfall, but it's something that they've showed quite a bit in some of their other presentations in the months past. That's actually been one of the ones that I've been looking forward to the most because it's a RPG melee combat. I really like third-person melee combat type games. That's going to be at launch. But now I'm a little bit thrown because that game is $70 for just a standard base game. But they also have a $99 game version, which is like it's called the Ascended Edition, and it includes the base game, some extra skins, and then the expansion #1 that comes out in 2021. So it's like the game hasn't even launched, and you already got like an expansion that you're going to have to pay for more money for, and it's like I don't know how much. That may have turned me off of that game, so we'll see. I still may get it, but that's really been the game that I've been looking forward to getting this year for the PlayStation 5, and after seeing that, it really kind of turned me off. That you haven't even launched the game yet, and you already got an expansion out, like that doesn't even come out till next year that you're trying to charge me for. Don't know how I feel about that. So let me know if you were going to get that game, and if you were, if that kind of affected you as well. Then also Sackboy will be available at launch, and that's a $60 title. Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Then you got Destruction All Stars, which will be available at launch, and that's $70. And there may be some other things, small things, but that's the main things that are available at launch. So it just ended up being a really poorly presented, and kind of like just pre-orders kind of like would leak out kind of like over that night, and just the next day for a couple of days they kind of like leaked out in spurts. And there was probably two or three different times that I've had it in cart and went to go place the order. So I've made it all the way to cart, placing the order, and it just gets hung up type of thing. So it was a pretty bad experience. Sony has come forward and said that they are aware of how bad things went. It didn't go very smoothly, and they plan on putting more pre-orders out within the next couple of days. So they didn't say when, but they say retailers are supposed to be announcing this. So if you were like me and you didn't get one, just look out for the next couple of days, and possibly there will be more. But I don't know when that's going to happen, what retailers, but hopefully things work out all right. But we will see. But so overall, I mean, it was just, like I said, the overall presentation was just pretty like eh. And then all this stuff gets released after in like a blog. And it's like, if y'all would have just organized this differently, it would have it would have been some fire. It really would have. But it was just poor execution by Sony. I mean, in the end, in a couple months from now, or 5-6 months from now, when we're into the generation and it's not a problem, and everyone can get their PS5. I mean, I do think that they're pretty loaded, in my opinion, as far as like how they're going to jump off this generation. So I don't think, unless it's availability, I don't see any reason why someone like a PlayStation fan would want to switch to Xbox. If you're an Xbox fan, you may still be happy with Xbox. That's completely fine. I'm not here to try to anger Xbox fans or nothing like that. But I mean, for Sony, I think in the end they have a lot to offer this generation, and it's looking pretty cool. They just laid it out pretty crappy. It was bad. Okay, let's move on to the Nintendo Direct Mini. And it was a partner showcase. And these in the past, I think they've done a couple of these this year already, and they've been horrible. And people have been downvoting them pretty hardcore, and they just have not been impressive at all. And I kind of went into this one the same way. I had no real expectations for what to expect. And then they started off with, and I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan, but they started off with Monster Hunter Rise, which is an entirely new game on the Switch. And to be honest, because I got Monster Hunter Generations on the Switch, and I've played very little of it because Monster Hunter World because I played that on the PS4, and Iceborne. Those games are in my opinion, amazing. They're probably my favorite games of all time. And kind of going from those to the versions on the Switch, which is kind of doesn't have that open world aspect. It just is not is appealing. I just can't get into them. How it's and plus I'm not done with the ones on the PS4 anyway. So it's like I still haven't finished Iceborne. But I was kind of watching that at first, the Monster Hunter Rise, and I'm like, yeah, this is just another one on the Switch. It just doesn't look good. Just like graphically, it's kind of hard to look at compared to I think like the Monster Hunter World and Iceborne. There's just a significant graphical difference. But the more I watched it, and then they had a little like showcase after the direct, and I was watching it, and I was like, this actually looks pretty fun. They have this thing called like a wire bug. I guess like the whole premise of it is this one is going to be like an open world type thing to where once you come in and you load in, then you can traverse throughout the world seamlessly without any loading screens. And they have this thing called like a wire bug that you can use to kind of like almost like a grappling hook to kind of like help you climb up stuff. You can also use it in combat. They have something called a palamute. It looks like a Shamos. I guess if you've played Monster Hunter World, it looks like a Shamos or like a little Jagras that you ride, but it's like a kind of like a hybrid of like a dog or wolf and like a palico. And you can ride this thing to traverse around the world. You can also use it to help you in combat. And you still have your standard palico as well. But gameplay actually, it does look really interesting. So this comes out, I think March, was it 26th, I want to say? Yeah, March 26th of 2021 on the Switch. And I definitely will be picking this up. So the more I looked into it, it's actually probably one of the games I'm more looking forward to next year. After being like watching it initially and being like, I just don't care I just don't care about a game on the Switch, a Monster Hunter game on the Switch. But I changed my tune after watching more into it. They also had there's a Monster Hunter Stories 2, which is a sequel to the original Monster Hunter Stories on the Nintendo DS. This is going to come out on the Switch, I think next summer sometime. And it's more of like an RPG type game. The graphical style of this thing looks gorgeous. I don't know if I'll end up playing it because I played a little bit of Stories and it's kind of like it's just not necessarily my speed. The Stories games are more of like a kind of like a hybrid of like Monster Hunter and like kind of like Pokemon from what I can probably the best way to I guess explain it. But it did look really good and I may give it a try, but I'll probably still be playing Monster Hunter Rise by that time. So who knows. They also kind of just announced that like the Hades was available to drop that day on the eShop, and then I think Ori and the Will of the Wisp was also they announced was available that day and dropped it on the eShop, and they also had a collector's edition for Ori Will of the Wisp. I think it was with both the Ori games, and that sold out. It looked like a really cool collector's edition, but it sold out pretty quickly. But all in all, it was a really good partner showcase, and definitely the best one that I've seen, and I was pretty impressed with it. Moving on, we'll get into next the Arcade 1-Up. So Arcade 1-Up finally put out the pre-orders for the Golden Axe Arcade, and this is only available for direct order through Arcade 1-Up, like through their website, and this is going to ship in mid-October. It's $3.99. The problem with it being direct from Arcade 1-Up is it's only $3.99, which I think is actually a pretty decent deal for this cabinet, but you also got to pay $47 shipping. So a lot of times you can get like free shipping off of Amazon or Best Buy or Walmart, or you can just pick it up in some of these stores. So if it's $3.99, you can really get it for, with tax, like whatever, $4.20 or something like that. This is going to be, by the time you're done with tax and stuff, you're going to be closer to, $475, $480, $500, something like that, whatever, somewhere around there, which is kind of stinks. But it does come with 5 games. It comes with Golden Axe, The Revenge of Death Adder, Altered Beast, Shinobi, and Wrestle War. It has the light-up marquee. It has the customizer, but this one does not come with a stool. So I think the value actually with the 5 games, they're 5 really good games. I think it's a good combination. For that $4.99 price, and like I said, with the light up marquee and all that. But yeah, paying for that shipping is kind of definitely makes it a little bit kind of like having to think about it. A big reason why I did my Ninja Turtle mod with the Pi 4 was because of this cabinet. I wanted to play Revenge of Death Adder, and I was going to get this cabinet because I really wanted to support Sega, but being the 4-player one, I only have room for so many more cabinets. And if I get that cabinet, I really only have room for maybe like one more cabinet after that. And I'm trying to hold off for like a racing cabinet or a light gun one. So I kind of decided I'm probably not going to get this one. If I had more room, I probably would. Or if this was a 2-player cab, I would probably get it. But being it's 4-player, it's just the layout of those. If you have these cabinets, you know what I'm talking about. Those 4-player ones take up a lot more wall space, a lot more room. It's kind of harder to organize your game room, arcade room with them. So I'm probably going to hold off on this one, unfortunately, which it sucks, but But let me know if this is a cabinet that you're really excited about getting, if you are going to pull the trigger, and how you feel about that shipping. Because that shipping for me is like, I would, if like I said, if I didn't have the space concerns, then I would probably still get it with the shipping. But it's a little bit of a downvote for me. Some upcoming things. They had the Metal Slug Anthology at limited run that already sold out, so I don't want to get too far into that. But they also have the Toaplan Collection, and that's a limited run, and I want to say it's at Castlemania Games as well. And it's pretty much what it is. It's 4 Sega Genesis carts from 4 shoot 'em up games from Sega that were on the Sega Genesis. You got Truxton, Hellfire, Fire Shark, and Zero Wing. And this is pretty much like a four set. You get all 4 of these. You can get them for $159, or you can also buy them individually for $44.99. And they come with pretty much like translucent cards, slip covers, reversible cover arts, colored manuals. So it's a really cool set. And I mean that, just these games are pretty pricey. So if you got these games, I have 2 of them. So 2 of these games I actually need. The other 2 I actually have in my collection. So I probably won't get this. But a lot of these games, complete in box, are around 100 or over 100 for some of these games. So for $159 for all 4 of them. And it's a nifty little set, and I think that's on pre-order until sometime in October. Maybe it's October 18th. I may have that date wrong, but it's sometime in October. You can pre-order these 2 for, and like I said, you can get them individually or as the set all together, and it comes like in a nice box. They all come in, so it is a nice looking set. So just check that out if you're into shoot 'em ups or in Genesis games like me. It is pretty cool. I just don't know if I'm gonna get it or not. All right, now with all that out the way, let's get into some pickups. So I ordered and I got the Super Mario 3D All-Stars I got this week. I really haven't played anything but Super Mario Galaxy, to be honest. Like I said, I've been pretty busy with the kids and just being outside. But every night I've been playing this for several hours until I go to bed. And Super Mario Galaxy it's amazing. So I have not been able to take myself away to play. And I've played Mario Galaxy before. I think, in my opinion, Super Mario Galaxy 2 is the best 3D Mario game ever made. Mario Galaxy, the original one, is probably the second best one. I think they're both far better than Odyssey. And it's not saying anything bad about Odyssey. I think Odyssey is a fine game. I just think that the Galaxy games are so much better, for my personal opinion. And I've been wanting these games on the Switch. A lot of times I give Nintendo a lot of trouble for all the ports that they bring to the Switch. The Galaxy games are ones that I really want. So I would have paid $60 just for Galaxy, and they didn't do anything. These games are all emulated. They didn't like upscale these or anything like that. But still, like, the resolution is just a lot better than these would be on their original system. So it does look better than it would look like on the Wii. And so will Sunshine look better than it does on the GameCube, and same with 64. But they did not remaster or do any upscaling. They're just straight emulation. But being played on the Wii, on the Switch, they do look better than they would look on their original hardware. And Galaxy plays really good. And that game doesn't need I was thinking that I really wanted them to do like a remake of the Galaxy games, and they don't need it. It looks like a Switch game. So I mean, and it's so much fun. That game is so much fun. So if you don't have that collection, I think it's worth $60 for Galaxy alone, and I can't wait for them to come out with Galaxy 2 down the road. Next up is Dandara, Trials of Fear Edition. So I got this off of from Super Rare Games. I had talked about this on the show here a couple weeks ago. It's kind of like a platformer, 2D platformer, where you can kind of like stick upside down on the ceiling and kind of like attack enemies, and you kind of like can hang on walls on the ceiling and stuff like that. So it's a pretty cool different mechanic of a game. It's a retro kind of styled graphics, but it's really cool. So I picked that up from Super Rare Games. This I kind of like a lot. I've been going through, and I just finally played Link's Awakening a couple weeks ago. And then the week after that, I played A Link to the Past on the SNES. And during that time, I kind of ordered this. I've been wanting this for several years, and it's the Legend of Zelda encyclopedia. But this is kind of like a special edition to where it obviously looks like the Legend of Zelda on the SNES. And that's, like I said, I think there's a different version of this, just because they have there's multiple encyclopedias and stuff like that for the Legend of Zelda, and this one is just like I want to say it's the same content, but it's one that looks like the SNES card. And I've been wanting it for a while, and it was on sale a couple weeks ago, so it was around the same time I was playing through Link's Awakening or Link to the Past, so I grabbed it, and it's pretty cool to add that to the collection. This I had ordered. I got it from the UK. It's a Submarine Attack on the Sega Master System, and this is a horizontally scrolling shooter, and it's not the best shooter. It's okay. It is, like I said, it's not part of the North American setup for the Sega Master System. It's part of the it's a PAL game. But like I said, I'm always looking for shooters on the Sega Master System, and there's the library is just a lot more expanded than once you start getting into the PAL territories for that. And the only thing else that I got is I've been picking up a lot of times if I'm doing like a special video, I'll start picking up like magazines and stuff like that. So for a video that I have planned coming up, I've got a bunch of just Nintendo Powers for the video. So I got actually 3 Nintendo Powers and I think 2 Sega Vision magazines, and these are all more or less like I find them fun when I'm like just researching stuff. Like I said, for a video, and kind of like I'll spotlight them in the video for stuff. So I just find it fun, and I like collect them anyways. If you ever like want like a really good trip down like nostalgia road, then just pick up like a Nintendo Power or a Sega Visions magazine, like some of those older ones, and they're just, man, there's just so much good stuff in those things. They're so fun to look into. But that's pretty much it. Otherwise, what I've been playing, like I said, Super Mario Galaxy. I'm about halfway through that, or close to halfway. And then also A Link to the Past. I've finished up A Link to the Past. First time I actually made it through that game. I've played it like through about like 70% through. I think on the Wii. The Wii store back like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and for whatever reason got sidetracked, never finished. And after I played A Link to the Past or A Link's Awakening a couple weeks ago, and I followed that up with A Link to the Past, and now Mario Galaxy. So I got a little Nintendo kick going on here now. So hopefully I can get off of that and get back into some PlayStation games. But really having a lot of fun with them. But that's it, guys. Let me know how you feel about the PS5. If you got your order, let me know. If you didn't, hopefully like me, and like we'll have some better luck this week. But that's it, guys, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Later.